Hello and welcome to a very special edition of This Week in Rideshare. This week we have a special guest, Teddy Burgess, who is joining the Legal Rideshare team for a very exciting new project called Behind the Wheel. I've got Teddy here. Teddy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, Bryant. It's been fun. Today was my first day and yeah, ready to get things started.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you. And you're an artist here at heart, and that's really the skill set that we're trying to utilize to bring this new venture into life, this behind the wheel. But before we get into exactly what the project is going to look like, I was hopeful that you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your work as a rideshare driver.
Okay, well, I was a choreographer, dance studio owner for a very long time out in the Rockford area. And then life happened and I had to take over a different business where I just didn't fit. And my son was going to Loyola, and I kept coming in as often as I could. And I'm like, what is this Uber thing? So I decided to give it a try. I wanted to see if this would be a good transition for me. Ended up full-time driver here in Chicago and ended up moving into Chicago about 7 years ago. The rest is history.
Awesome. What is this Uber thing? That I think is a common theme. A lot of drivers start there. That's actually how legal rideshare started. I was talking to drivers and I was thinking, what is this Uber thing?
Yeah.
One thing led to another, and here we are today in the law firm front.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just, I've always loved working with people and being around people and it was kind of nice to be able to come in and see my son, which was really kind of on the forefront, um, filling a dream to live in the city.
Mhm.
So, yeah, and then I just went full time and then COVID hit. So, yeah.
And yeah, the COVID, I think, disrupted a lot of people, particularly in the ride share and gig space. So I do know that you transitioned from like full-time driver work into helping drivers in various scenarios. How did that happen? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So when COVID hit, Uber does offer this program where if you're a full-time driver, you can, or not really full-time, but full and mostly full-time, you can attend school at Arizona State University. And I thought when COVID hit, wow, I always wanted to get my, fine arts degree. I wanted to be a photographer. So I signed up and started classes. And then I had to take an English class and they wanted, a paper and a story of what's going on. So I decided to interview a young man named Lenny Sanchez for a paper I was writing about being an Uber driver in
The famous
Chicago.
Lenny Sanchez.
The famous Lenny Sanchez. And I'm telling you, he was just so wonderful and so welcoming. And then one day he called me on the phone and he said, hey, we're going to start this thing here in Chicago. And, you just really touched me in a way where you really care about people. And I think you'd be a perfect fit. So we started Independent Drivers Guild here in Illinois about 6 years ago. And from there, we have now transitioned to the Illinois Drivers Alliance. And I do everything from, working with deactivated drivers to organizing drivers. And it's just like this big snowball. And now we're looking at a union coming here to Chicago, and it's great. So many drivers need help. And I've just loved doing this job. And now even going further with working with Legal Rideshare makes it all coming around, boy. It's
Yeah.
great.
It's awesome. And you hear about how drivers and the company often have this adversarial relationship. And it's really, I think it's cool to hear about how Uber really helped you, like in
Yeah.
getting this, getting your degree and going through the class process, and how that experience through Uber actually led you to meeting Lenny, to which led you to where you are today and helping drivers. And it's I think that Uber and Lyft and all them they tend to get a bad rap from drivers, but sometimes we do hear stories where the process that they put in place actually does help drivers. And it seems like that was the situation on your end.
It certainly was. And, I really have to thank Uber. 4 years of school, I did it. I ended up, I have to brag, a summa cum laude 4.0.
Woo!
I think at this age, you just tend to like study harder than you did when you were in your 20s. But no, if it wasn't for Uber, and they paid all of my tuition. I didn't have to pay anything. I came out with my bachelor's degree, which I wanted so bad. And yeah, they were responsible for that. And if any drivers ever have any questions about that program, because it still is intact, feel free to reach out to me. I could give you the lowdown. It's a wonderful program. And you can also put your children through school through that program too. So there's many options there. So yeah, isn't it funny how that's all turned around and now I'm giving back to the community?
That's it. And as Lenny said, you do have a knack for helping people, and you've got this kindness that kind of oozes off of you, that it draws people in. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to work with you in the new segment that we're starting. I mean, we haven't even done our first episode yet, but we wanted to bring you in for Behind the Wheel. Can you tell us just a little bit about what that program is, what to expect going forward?
Well, Jared's been sending me some few things over the last week, and I think I kind of have an idea of where I want to go with it. So basically, it's going to be a community series where we've partnered with LegalRideshare, just to give drivers, a voice. uh Drivers, they have great stories, and we never hear those stories. We only see what's in the app, and we don't get to personally get to know them. So drivers that want to tell their story, they'll get a professional photo shoot. They'll be able to let us know who they are, and we're just going to put it in some type of format where we can introduce them to the community, and also at the same time create a community for other drivers to get to know other drivers, because we need those support mechanisms. So it can work in two ways. One way, drivers are going to get their story out there, but yet it will also give them connections to people like me and you, who, where if they need help in a time of trauma or difficulty, they know where to reach out to us at. So it kind of does both of those things. And I love the fact that I'm going to be able to do photography and do some real work with people and get their stories out there.
Yeah, you're the perfect person for it. And I love how you explain kind of the, circular format of it, that we're all helping each other here. Like,
Yeah.
one thing that in the course of the decade plus that I've been, part of this rideshare community, I do see how often drivers feel like they're out on their own. There isn't a sense of community that the rideshare companies create for drivers. There's no HR department for them to voice a complaint to. There's no water cooler for them to just
Yeah.
share their stories and their lives. And by seeing that kind of lonely situation that a lot of people can find themselves in, I think that a program like this, to put voices forward, to put faces forward, can help create the community like you discussed, and also serve as a support line. Like, we have so many resources at our fingertips, whether it's through the organizations that you're working with that provide all sorts of services to drivers, help with deactivations, help with mental health, you name it. There's opportunities there. To the legal rideshare front, when you find yourself in an accident, which happens when you're driving, like, we can help put you or get you through that situation, make sure that bills are covered. Like, all that we're trying to do here is create a stronger community. And I think that this artistic way of doing it, which you're going to be so excellent at, is
Oh,
just a really awesome way to it's a thread that pulls everybody in together.
yeah. And the other thing is too, it's kind of like a relaxed atmosphere. You can come in, you can get to know me. We'll do a fun photo shoot. We might shoot it out there by Wrigley Field if you're a big Cub fan. We can do different things with it, but we want to know you. We want to get to see who you are, because people see the back of your head and your dash cam. They don't know the people. And we'd really like to, have you tell your story. I want to cut back to something that you just said about it being a very lonely job. That was the one thing going from a very you know, big dance studio where there was constant people to being in my car all day. I did feel lonely and I was alone. And, thank goodness Lenny reached out to me and I got to know some of the people. But, it is a difficult thing. And a lot of people that have any type of language barrier or, with the immigrant situation, they don't feel like they have a safe haven. Well, there's a safe haven here. So I
Yes.
just have to mention that I just had my very first drivers here and they only spoke Russian. But we made so much fun out of it. We used Chat GPT. We got the photos, we got them to smile. They loved it. It was great. And it was a big learning experience for me on how to cross that bridge. So we want you to know this is going to be a relaxed, open environment, and we want you to come and have some fun.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to highlight is that, everybody has a story. Every single person that is behind the wheel has a story of their life, of how they got into rideshare, of what's going on with their families. We all have these very human stories, and certainly we want to highlight people who are doing, the most heroic thing. You hear about Uber drivers who have gone into houses that are on fire and pulled out babies. That's a great story. We would love to highlight that person, but that's not every situation, and that's not really the typical situation that we're trying to get at. We want to know who are the real people, who are the everyday people in this world that are, such an important part of our community. And you have a story. Please come tell us, and we will highlight it in a really professional and just satisfying way, I think, for both you, your loved ones, and everybody else who's out there and interested.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Like I said, I just feel like these two gentlemen that just left, they're going to be my friends for a very long time, in just an hour's worth of work. And yeah, so that's exactly what we want. We want people to come, tell their story, and we'll get it out there. It will be really a great thing. So
Awesome. Well, before we get going, I want to just quickly, tell everybody where they're going to be able to see this. So we're going to be posting these segments on YouTube. We're going to be posting them on Facebook, Instagram. So follow us on social media. It's at Legal Rideshare. They will probably be part of our email blasts, so you can always subscribe there. And then if you are interested in having your story told, please reach out to us. You can reach out to us on social media. You can message us through our website. And we have an email line as well at help, H-E-L-P, at legalrideshare.com. Any of those ways are great ways to reach out, and then we'll put Teddy in touch with you to feature your story, to feature your voice.
yeah, it sounds great.
Yep.
Yep, just reach out. We want to get things going. So, love to meet you and be able to help you. And we do have a lot of resources. I do work with the Illinois Drivers Alliance, and we have so much going on there that we're able to, we have some tools and we have some great people that work there that also would be available for, any hard times that come up or you need somebody. So,
Awesome. Well, Teddy, I really appreciate you taking the time to explain what we've got going on, to introduce our audience to you. Before we sign off, I want to just remind everybody that Legal Rideshare is always available for free consultations for any accident or injury claim that you have. We can help you recover medical bills, recover money for lost wages, pain and suffering, any other damage that you sustain. LegalRideshare.com has all of our contact information. So please do not hesitate to reach out. and reach out quickly because time is of the essence in those claims. But Teddy, thank you again. It's been really, really great to catch up, and I'm looking forward to the next steps.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity, Bryant. I'm so looking forward to it. It's a kind of a new thing, and I can put my skills that I learned at ASU to work here and get some good photography going too. So thank you for the opportunity.